And hot!
If you haven't watched Inglorious Bastards, you probably won't stick around till the end of this video. And honestly, that's fine. But if you have, then you know the exact scene I'm talking about. Because once you've seen it, you'll never forget it. I'm making this video because I want to talk about something I'm a complete sucker for. A scene that's so good, I've rewatched it more times than I can count. It all started when I was out with a friend. We were talking about our favorite movies, our favorite characters, moments that stick with you, and instantly this one came to mind. A scene I always bring up when someone asks me, what's the most intense opening to a movie you've ever seen? So sit back and let me walk you through what I believe is one of the greatest opening scenes in cinema. In the spring of 1941, somewhere in the quiet countryside of Nazi-occupied France, SS Colonel Hans Landa arrives at a remote farmhouse. The man who lives there, Pierre Lapidite, is a dairy farmer, and when Landa arrives, he doesn't kick down the door. He smiles, he politely asks for a moment of the farmer's time, and then he steps inside. There, he meets three of Lapidite's daughters, complimenting them each on their looks. When offered wine, he declines and instead asks for a glass of fresh milk. Polite, soft spoken, disarming. Once served, he asks the farmer if they can continue the conversation in English, a language Lapidite admits he knows only a little. It's all smooth, too smooth. Then, as the conversation deepens, Landa begins to ask questions about missing Jewish families in the area and about whether Lapidite has heard of a nickname people have given him. The farmer brushes it off, saying he's not interested in rumors. And then comes the rat and squirrel analogy. Landa explains that while no one would bat an eye at a squirrel rummaging through their attic, people react very differently to the idea of a rat doing the same thing. It's an accepted fact that rats are traitors, vermin, but squirrels? They're cute, charming, even welcome. He argues that this difference is irrational and yet socially ingrained. And in that moment, you realize what he's doing. He's justifying the dehumanization of Jews using polite logic and metaphor. Then comes the pipe. When the farmer lights a simple wooden pipe, Landa doesn't say a word. He just reaches into his coat and pulls out a massive, comically oversized pipe of his own. It looks ridiculous, the kind of thing you'd expect from a cartoon character, and yet, somehow, it makes the moment even tenser. Because it's not about the pipe, it's about power. He's asserting dominance, quietly, calculating, like a hawk circling overhead, watching a rat below that doesn't even know it's being hunted. I know there are already a lot of people online who've dissected the symbolism of milk, especially how it's often associated with cold, calm, collected villains. Two of the coldest, Hans Landa and Anton Chigurh. Both drink milk in some of the tensest scenes in their films. But here's my take. Milk, to me, is a reflection of who they are. On the surface, milk is plain, bland, nothing fancy to look at. And by looks, I mean their faces, not their clothes. And just like milk, these characters don't shift in behavior. No matter how intense the situation gets, their tone, their calm, their control, it never wavers. But just like milk, the moment you boil it, they're ready to erupt. That was my initial reading, that milk is a personality mirror. But on rewatch, I realized something. Anton Chigurh is cold by nature. Landa is cold by design. Anton Chigurh and Hans Landa may both be villains, but they're not alike. Chigurh is naturally cold. He doesn't fake it. That calm demeanor, that's who he is. But Landa, he uses calmness. He doesn't drink milk because it's his favorite drink. He drinks it because it disarms people. It's a tactic. Think about it. If a Nazi officer enters your home, there is no way you'll expect him to ask for milk. He rejects wine and takes milk because it makes him appear weak. He talks to people politely because it makes him appear weak. He doesn't want people to know of his real power because that's how he manipulates them.
Ooh, that's a bingo!
Just watch this scene. Watch his face when he asks the farmer about the nickname people gave him. At first, he's smiling, flattered even. But when the farmer brushes it off and says he's not interested in all that, the smile drops. Just for a split second, the friendly mask slips, and behind it, you catch a glimpse of his real face. The face that will show up later in the movie again and again and again, but only when he finally gets what he wants. The beauty of this scene is in how it evolves. The first time you watch it, you're tense, but you don't really know why. You don't know what's going to happen next. You're just following Landa's words, hoping he doesn't snap. But Landa's manipulation doesn't stop at what he drinks or how he speaks. It's in how he looks at people and how he watches them crumble. Another part of acting that often goes unnoticed is the eyes. The eyes have the power to express 1,000 things without a single word being spoken. One of the finest actors in the last century of Indian cinema, Irfan Khan, is the first person who comes to mind. He was a master of expressing emotion through his eyes alone. And in Inglourious Bastards, Hans Landa does a fantastic job with this. But what really elevates the scene is the farmer's reaction. People often overlook this, but it's the farmer's eyes that carry the weight of the tension. At first, he seems calm, steady, holding it together, smoking his pipe. But as the scene builds to its boiling point, his eyes begin to betray him. The fear, the guilt, the dread. And it's done so well that you almost forget you're watching fiction. It doesn't feel like a performance anymore. It feels real. I could tell you what happens next, but honestly, I don't want to. The whole reason I even thought about making this video was because of a friend. Someone who had downloaded the movie months ago, but still hadn't watched it. In a time where everything's fast and short, movies can feel like a chore. I get it. I felt that too. But I told him again and again that day that he has to watch the movie. I don't know if he ever did, but maybe you will. So do yourself a favor. Don't just take my word for it. Experience it yourself. This was Off Track. Now go watch a masterpiece.